Well, hi, this is Ken Auerbach from Cartier, Bernstein, Auerbach, and Steinberg. If you or someone you care for has been injured from no fault of their own, please contact Cartier, Bernstein, Auerbach, and Steinberg at myinjuryli.com or call 631-654-4900. Whether auto or work-related, slip and fall, trip and fall, construction accidents, dog bite, medical malpractice, or nursing home neglect, or various other types of negligence, please contact me at Cartier, Bernstein, Auerbach, and Steinberg by visiting me at myinjuryli.com or call 631-654-4900. I will represent you with integrity and passion. Living in pain from no fault of your own can be emotionally and physically detrimental and affect all aspects of your life. Please contact me, Ken Auerbach, at Cartier, Bernstein, Auerbach, and Steinberg by visiting myinjuryli.com or call 631-654-4900 for an immediate and free consultation and the support and representation you deserve. Well, hi, everyone. This is personal injury attorney Ken Auerbach from Cartier, Bernstein, Auerbach, and Steinberg. Welcome back to our program, From No Fault of Your Own. Here with my great trusty co-host and associate attorney, Amanda Spinner. Amanda, welcome.
Hello.
Well, it's really good to have you here, see your smiling face.
Happy to be back.
Yes, I've been away for about 11 days down in sunny Florida.
Yes.
It was lovely down there, I got to say.
Came back to the chilly weather.
Yeah, it was really lovely down there. Most of the time it was great. You know, you get a little rain every once in a while down in Florida, but you really can't complain when it's 85 degrees out most of the time.
That's very true. You can complain today, though.
But we're glad to be back here with our listeners, right?
Yes, of course, always.
And we are live today, and so if you'd like to call in, you could call the studio at 631-451-1039. We would be glad to discuss any question you may have on personal injury. And as Amanda always tells you, Amanda, if they call in, Amanda, what do we got for them?
You will get a free From No Fault of Your Own t-shirt.
Definitely going to do that. And would love to be able to give you one of those. And it's our goal, as you know, folks, to give you an insider's view of bringing and proceeding with various types of personal injury actions caused by the negligence of some other party. And among these areas that we have explored, and we're going to continue to do so, are car accidents, trip and slip and falls, construction accidents, medical malpractice, nursing home neglect, products liability, and all the serious injuries that often occur, unfortunately. Through our journey together, hopefully we've removed and can remove some of the mystery and uncertainty and really make you empowered, knowledgeable, and confident in the process. So we are back today. One of the things that I want to talk about, first of all, tonight's a very important night. You know that, right, Amanda?
I don't.
You don't know what tonight is?
Is it Rangers?
It's Game 7, yes.
Woo!
All right, Game 7. I know we have Islanders fans out there. Sorry, your team really was game out there. Really did. I thought they were going to get it to 7-2. I'm really sorry to see that they didn't win. But we do have the Rangers still playing, and they're in Game 7 tonight at New Jersey. So we're really pulling and rooting hard for them and just want to see them give a real effort. And so I got back from Florida on Friday, went to the Ranger game on Saturday, got us a win.
Didn't miss a beat.
Didn't miss a beat. So it's really good. So I want to start out, Amanda, with one of the things we've talked about on this show, and I am going to talk about it, scream, yell, until we stop these insurance companies from taking advantage of poor, unknowing people.
Yes, and particularly your point today is very strong.
Yes. So on the show, Amanda, we've talked about this issue where insurance companies for the defendants will go out and try to solicit people to sign releases before they have a chance to figure out if they're hurt, before they have a chance to see an attorney.
Right.
And they will get that release, not just for property damage. Unbeknownst, oftentimes to people, they're signing off on their personal injuries also.
Right.
And so we've talked about it on the show. We've gotten up on our soapbox and we've talked about how it happens, and now it's happening even more. And I really got to tell you, there were a couple of carriers that used to do it religiously. Now it seems like there's many more carriers, and some of the biggest carriers are doing it now. And I had a client, and Amanda, you're familiar with the situation, called me just a couple of weeks ago. And they were in a serious accident. I had represented them before in another car accident some years ago. And they called me up and they explained that they were hurt, they were injured, and they were in this accident. And the first thing I asked them, and this was like 4 days after the accident, all right, well, who have you spoken to? And they said, well, the insurance company called me. I said, well, what insurance company? And it was the insurance company for the other person. I said, okay, and what did you discuss with them? Well, I was just really interested in trying to get my car assessed because my car was really damaged badly. And I said, well, did you do anything? Please tell me you didn't do anything with regard to personal injury. And they, as far as they know, absolutely didn't sign anything. Okay, now I will tell you in this situation, we had a client who English is their second language.
Right.
And they do their best. And they have difficulty, though, conversing and totally understanding in English. So my client insisted, didn't sign anything. So we send the claim letter out. We send it to the insurance company. And lo and behold, what do we get, Amanda?
So we received back a release that the client had allegedly signed, releasing away all of their claims, including for personal injury.
So here's a person 3 days after the accident. The insurance company is sending out a release trying to get this person to sign off on their rights. This person doesn't have any idea at this point. They know they're hurt,
right?
But doesn't know how hurt. And what they said was, now it's even worse because now a lot of stuff is being done virtually and remotely. So when they had the conversation over the phone, the adjuster said to him, well, this just gets the claim going, this document. Just gets it going. And unbeknownst to our client, they sent a release out that covers really the property damage and almost nothing for any personal injury, but they claim it's a full release. Now, we are looking at it very strongly, and we're going to, we're fighting for the client.
Right.
And made it clear to them that our client has a very hard time with English. B, there was a document that was a notarization page that was not notarized. C, it was done 3 days after with a client who, by the way, has a head injury, a brain injury, okay? And so we're going to keep on talking about it on our program. And our program is about getting justice for people. And we don't want anybody to get a dime that they're not entitled to get.
Right.
But they should not be prevented from a dime that they should get.
Right.
And in this case, it's just outrageous. It's outrageous that there's not legislation or insurance regulations that just brings this to an end and a stop.
And I will say, too, when someone signs a release, it's even hard for a regular person that speaks English to necessarily know what's going on. So, a lawyer should always look at that. And I think that's an important point to make, especially someone that English is their second language.
Well, I think that's a really good point, Amanda, because you're right. There's legalese in these documents, and it's very easy to make a mistake.
Yes.
It's very easy to make a mistake. But the bottom line is, we talk about our elected officials, and we say, what could our elected officials do to protect us? What are we hiring them and voting them in to do? Well, first and foremost, to protect some basic rights. So if I'm injured, and I'm seriously injured, should someone be able to just come to my door, knock on my door, or send a document out and have me sign off on something that clearly I'm not either thinking about, clearly I may not understand? And we've talked about the need for there to be legislation, insurance regulations that say simply, first 6 months after an accident, a person cannot sign off with regard to their pain and suffering and bodily injury, not your medical benefits under your own policy to get your medical benefits, but we're talking about being able to bring a claim against a third party. You shouldn't be able to get them to sign off on that within the first 6 months, I think it's fair, without having them look at their documents by an attorney.
And I think we make this point as well when we talk about valuing cases. On day one, we can't value your case. An insurance company can't value your case when you don't know the extent of your injuries.
Right. So it really is bogus to do it. And, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And we're going to be screaming about this on the radio. We're going to get a couple of our elected officials on. I want to get a couple of our senators and our assemblymen on, and I want to talk about this issue.
Right.
And we're going to be getting their feet to the fire on this, because it's got to stop. Okay? Taking advantage of people at any level isn't fair, and particularly a person who is at a disadvantage,
right.
A person who's injured, a person who's infirm, the person who doesn't understand, the person who doesn't speak potentially the language that's in that release.
Right.
So we're going to talk more about this on the other side. But if we sound agitated about it today, yes, I'm agitated. I'm pissed. Okay?
Rightfully so.
It's got to stop. And we're going to make this program the foundation for that. So we'll see you on the other side. Well, welcome back to our program. If you're just joining us, this is personal injury attorney Ken Auerbach. You're on our program from no fault of your own, and we're exploring these issues which are very important in the area of personal injuries, and what happens when you're in an accident, what do you do if you're in an accident, and all different types of personal injury that are caused by all different things. We're here with my great associate, Amanda. Amanda, it's really good to have you here today.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And also, shout out to Dana, our little tech guru that's here with us every week.
Yeah, Dana is the best. You know what? Having Dana here has just added another level to our program.
Her smile always makes me smile.
It's true. That's Dana Tortora, right, folks? I'm telling you. Just remember that name, because that name is going to be on TV and the movies.
And we'll show you her on our podcast.
And it has been on TV before, if you've watched Miss Maisel.
Yes.
Maisel, right? Maisel.
Yes.
And she does all kinds of shows, too. And I know she was doing a show locally here, Dana, if I recall. Wasn't that in Huntington that's coming up?
At the Vanderbilt in Centerport.
Vanderbilt in Centerport. And when is that, Dana?
You can catch us the month of May. We open May 5th.
And what part are you playing?
This week,
Dana?
you open Cinco de Mayo.
I play myself. I play Dana.
You're playing Dana. Dana playing Dana. That's good. That you can't make a mistake on that one.
Hopefully.
So it's at the Vanderbilt Museum, right?
Yes.
In Huntington.
In the courtyard. There's a beautiful courtyard. It's outside.
Right where the planetarium is in Centerport.
How do people get tickets?
You can go online at carriagehouseplayers.com, or you can purchase tickets at the door before the show.
Well, it's going to be a great show.
Yes.
And highly recommend to anybody go there. And if you get there, ask for Dana. Dana, you will, of course, autograph a program.
Of course.
Wow.
Anything for the people.
Okay, that's what we like to hear. So, folks, we're here on our show. If you want to get a hold of us normally, and you have a personal injury matter you want to talk to us about, get us on the web at myinjuryli.com. That's myinjuryli.com. Or call us at 631-654-4900. We'd be privileged to fight to get you justice. We also are live today, so if you do call in, as Amanda told you, you'll get one of our free From No Fault of Your Own t-shirts, and you'll call in at 631-451-1039. We are live. All of our consultations on personal injury cases are always free, and we'll make it easy for you. If you need us to come to your home, we'll come there. A medical facility, we'll go there. And we have offices throughout Nassau and Suffolk County in the 5 boroughs to meet you in. And also, Amanda, when can they listen to our program?
Please listen to us every Monday from 4 to 5 p.m.
And we do have our old programs, when we say our old programs, prior programs on our website.
Yes, and we will also be uploading our podcast, so now you can see us as well as hear us.
Right. So just to make sure that when you heard those voices, there were actually people behind those voices.
Do we look like our voices?
Do we look like our voices? That's a good question. So we're back now, and I just want to kind of just talk a little bit more about what we're talking about.
Right.
And this idea that these insurance companies are going out there, and it's really becoming prevalent. Folks, if you're in an accident, do yourself a favor, pick up the phone, call us. If you think you're possibly hurt, right? We'll talk about it. If you're not hurt, you're not hurt. The reality is though that people oftentimes don't know the first day or two, or they're not sort of focused on it. And then what happens is they'll contact you, and let's talk about the nature of how that happens. So, Amanda, sometimes what the insurance companies will do for the defendant is they'll pick up the phone, they'll call the person unsolicited, and I'll have a conversation. And a lot of times it starts out talking about property damage, right?
Right. I mean, that tends to be their focus because, they know most people get an attorney for the personal injury aspect, I think. So, they try to persuade you to kind of deal with it all in one lump sum, though, at the end of the conversation.
Right. And so they'll say something like, you'll be talking about, your car was hit in the rear, you have a lot of damage, you want to get it fixed. You may have collision on your car, but you may decide, you know what, I don't want to have to deal with my deductible, pay my deductible, and wait for my insurance company to get that back. So I'll go through the other carrier, which is okay. But the problem is when you open up that communication, and if the person on the other side of the phone isn't being transparent.
Right.
And they're not being transparent, they're not telling you that they're really trying to get you to start talking about your injuries.
Right.
And start getting it, greasing the skids for you to sign off for basically almost nothing.
Right.
And so if you're in an accident, pick up the phone and call us, okay? If it turns out and we're fine, if it turns out you're in an accident, but you didn't remember this conversation, turns out you really weren't injured. And we'll ask you questions about it. So we'll give you some direction in terms of how to handle the property damage aspect of it.
Right.
But many times we will get those calls, and the clients are dealing with symptoms, and they've never been in an accident before. They don't have a full understanding as to what occurred to them. And now you have an adjuster calling them, and sometimes the calls are repeated calls.
Yes.
And, I've had people saying, the person called me 10 times.
Yeah, and they kind of say to us, how do I deal with this at this point? And, that's when you need an attorney to come in and, handle it.
So what we want you to do is we want you to be protected from the beginning, folks. So if you have an accident, pick up the phone and call us. We'll talk to you about it, okay? We go with truth from beginning to end. So if it turns out that you weren't seriously injured or injured in a non-motor vehicle accident, we'll have that conversation with you, okay? And we'll tell you, this is what you should do as far as maybe on property damage or making a recovery for something other than personal injury. But if there is personal injury, we want to be able to talk to you about it. And the other thing that they'll do too is they'll record you on the phone. Now, I'm hoping on that other case that I just talked to you about, Amanda, I'm hoping that gentleman was recorded.
Right.
In fact, I'm going to make a request that the carrier save all of the tapes and all the recordings, because I know what it is to communicate with that gentleman, and I can tell that he doesn't understand English to a large extent.
Right.
And so that'll be helpful. But what they'll do too is they'll talk to you and start asking you questions and sort of lead the conversation about your injuries.
Right.
And Amanda, we've had people where the conversation is such where the carrier is trying to make it and say to this person, well, you really don't have something that could be compensated. So sort of convince them of something.
Right. Well, you're not really that hurt, blah, blah, blah. We could just deal with this now.
Yeah, we'll just deal with it, and we'll just send you 1/1000th of what the case is worth. So don't fall for that, folks. Don't fall for it. And, if we sound annoyed about it, we are annoyed about it, okay? Because it's not right. They're taking advantage, and it needs to stop. We've had other situations where the same exact thing happened. But, I was hoping that we'd hear less of it, but we're hearing more of it.
Yes, definitely.
And there has to be consumer protection, okay? And protection of the public, and there isn't right now. And we got to wake up sleepy Albany. Sleepy Albany's got to wake up. And, maybe they don't know about it. Maybe they're not thinking about it. But if it was one of their loved ones and their loved ones were injured and somebody was in the same situation, someone took advantage, they would want a legislator, if they weren't one, to step up and say, something's got to stop you. Okay, whether it's through the insurance regulations or whether through the law. So we're really going to push for that, and we're going to keep on talking about it. And this is across the board for whatever insurance company. They want to make sure they say that there's transparency and there's honesty within the process. We believe that. We don't believe anyone should bring a claim that's not honest or truthful. there's no less fraudulent activity occurring on the other side of it.
Right. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to pick up the phone and call us. Like Ken said, if you don't really have an injury, then that's, something we discuss. But don't let yourself get taken advantage of. Do what's best for you in the beginning. And just, give us a call. Let us figure it out. And
call us at 631-654-4900. You can call us at any time. Get us on the web at myinjuryli.com. You can chat with us online. That's myinjuryli.com. I'll call 631-654-4900. It'd be our privilege to fight, get you justice, and our privilege to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. Okay, so we'll see you on the other side. We're going to have Dr. Tom Dow, who is a great chiropractor. And we're going to talk to him about some of these things, including insurance IMEs and how they take advantage of you sometimes. See you on the other side. Well, hi, everyone. If you're just joining us, this is personal injury attorney Ken Auerbach from Cartier, Bernstein, Auerbach, and Sternberg. You're on our program From No Fault of Your Own, here with my great co-host, Amanda Spinner, and, of course, my associate. And we're really glad to have you here with us. We're going to get our guest on in a second. That's Dr. Thomas Dow Sr. He's been on the show before. Incredible doctor and really does great things by his patients. An honorable, good man. And we're going to talk about some things, too, that you have to be watching out for with regard to getting exams or examinations for no fault. And we're going to talk about that and why that's important and what you can do. If you or someone you care about has been injured as a direct result of someone else's negligence, please give us a call at 631-654-4900. That's 631-654-4900, or you get us at myinjuryli.com. That's myinjuryli.com. It really would be our privilege to fight to get you justice. And if you'd like to call us today, we are live. We're in the studio at 631-451-1039. It's 631-451-1039. We'll get you on the air. Don't be shy, right, Amanda?
Please call us while we're live.
We'd love to hear from you, and we'll talk about any issues you might have with regard to personal injury. And all of our consultations are always free. Doesn't cost you anything unless we make a recovery on personal injury, of course. And you can listen to our program every Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. as we explore these issues. Well, we are back now, and we have on the show Dr. Tom Dow Sr. I'm sorry, Tom. And really good to have you back on our show, Tom.
Glad to be here.
So, Tom, obviously we know about you and our listeners have heard about you before, but why don't you just tell us about your practice, what you do, where you're located, and then we'll get started and we'll start asking some questions that I think you really give some good insight on.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Hello, everyone. So my name is Dr. Tom Dow. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I've been in practice just over 40 years now, and I have seen the healthcare industry change dramatically in these last 40 years. Our offices are located in Melville. We're located in Islandia. We just opened an office up in Comac, and we will soon be officing up another main center in Amityville. And our main goal in all of our offices is to love our patients and give them the best care we can and give them the best knowledge we can regarding the injuries and things that they need to know.
So, Tom, if people wanted to get a hold of you and to treat with you, and I would highly recommend it. I can tell you, Tom, that my clients over the years who have said they've gone to you have really 100%. I've never actually had someone who said they really weren't happy with your practice because you do care for them and you really have that goal of getting them better. How would someone contact your office?
So they can contact us at 631-249-0011. Again, 631-249-0011. That's our direct line for any of our offices. Or if they have any questions for me personally, they can call me on my cell phone at 631-872-1247, and I'll speak to you direct.
Well, that's a heck of a doctor there that gives you his phone number. And that means that he trusts that you're going to call him up when you have a serious problem and you need to get him. And he takes what your problem is very seriously. I also do give my clients my cell phone. I do it because I want you to feel like sort of I'm at your fingertips, and I want you to realize how important you are to me. So you're in there with the rest of my family. Okay, so what we want to talk about, Tom, is, and we started the show, Tom, talking about this issue that's becoming unfortunately rampant, where insurance companies are taking advantage of individuals who are injured. And the way they're doing that is they're going out within a couple of days of an accident, or maybe that day of the accident, and they're soliciting people to sign off on their conscious pain and suffering, on their potentially serious injuries. And they do it in different ways, and sometimes they do it under the guise of, well, we really want to talk to you about your property damage. They're really trying to get it in to talk to them about their personal injury and get them to sign a document or release. And it really is something that's becoming a real problem. It's wrong. What I want to talk to you about, Tom, is, we hear about these insurance IMEs, and we've explained in the show, Amanda, about no fault and how no fault works, and how people, if you're in an accident and you're in your own vehicle or you're a passenger in someone's vehicle, the insurance that applies is your own insurance, which is no fault. And the theory being is you're supposed to be able to get payment for your medical bills, whether or not you were at fault or not. And the trade-off is that you would not be able to theoretically sue a third party if you didn't have a serious injury. And the idea was we're going to get more people medical treatment, more people getting the help they need. But the reality is that there's a system that has what they call independent medical exams, Tom, where they'll turn around after a few months and they'll send somebody out for an examination. And they go to a quote-unquote independent medical exam. And this is an insurance company hired doctor. And I guess you could call me cynical, but a lot of it has to do with my experience over the years. This person really typically isn't looking to make sure that the person maintains their coverage and gets better. They're looking to cut off benefit. And so, Tom, I assume obviously many of your clients have been, patients have been subjected to these IMEs. Is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
So could you give us some thoughts on these IMEs in terms of what a person should do, how they should approach it when they go in there, Tom, maybe what notes they should take, things like that, because we want to really educate our people and protect them against the big guy, right? We're the little guys. We're not an insurance company.
Absolutely. So years and years ago, when I first started practice, I would get these reports back from the independent medical exam doctors. And I want to make it clear. The word IME is a misnomer. It should not be called an IME. It should be called a dependent, not an independent medical exam, because if an exam was truly independent, it would be done by a third party, not an insurance company employee, not a doctor who's treating you, but a doctor who examines you and can say whether you're injured, whether you still need treatment, or whether you don't need treatment, totally independent of the company who's paying him, the insurance company. So they are not independent medical exams. They are dependent medical exams. And they are anything but true. I used to have patients come back with these 10, 15-page reports from their so-called independent medical exam. And I would ask the patient, how long were you in the room for? And they would say, I was in the room for about 5 minutes. And technically, in order to generate that type of report and do every exam that was indicated in that report, they'd have to be there for 2 hours. So, if anything, the reports are, I shouldn't say this for everyone, the majority of the ones I've seen are anything but independent and not valid and do not tell what the patient's injuries are or how seriously injured they are.
And they have a great effect on a case. They have a great effect on treatment, right, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our clients get their treatment cut off due to these IMEs. I mean, a vast majority of the clients. It's rare when, the IME says no, they still need treatment.
Right. So the issue is when they go to see this IME, this independent medical exam, as Dr. Dow has very, very poignantly told you, is not independent because they're, again, being paid by the insurance company, is that they're assessing whether you've reached maximum medical benefit. In other words, whether you now are at the place where even if you continue to have the care, you wouldn't get any better, okay? And the reality is that they have these exams, as Dr. Dow told you. They'll take, less than 5 minutes. The waiting room has, 38 people sitting in the waiting room. And now they bring you in. It's your insurance company or the insurance company for the vehicle that you happen to be a passenger in. But a lot of times it's your insurance company. It's the one you're paying, and they take you in. They send you for this exam. This doctor looks at you for a very short period of time and then notices the insurance company that you don't need any more benefits within that discipline. And it's wrong. And we're going to talk about on the other side, Dr. Dow, how people should address it when they're going to it, what they should be doing, what they should be noting, and what a real exam should look like, so they'll know when they go to it if it's not the real exam, and then we'll give them some ideas of how to approach it. So we'll see you on the other side. Dr. Dow, we're really appreciating you coming on the show and speaking some truth.
It's my pleasure. Anytime, Ken.
Welcome back to our program. If you're just joining us, this is personal injury attorney Ken Auerbach. You're on our program from No Fault of Your Own, here with the great Amanda Spinner, my co-host and great associate. We are live, and we're exploring some of the most important issues in personal injuries caused by accidents. And if you or someone you care about has been injured as a direct result of someone else's negligence, Amanda, how could they get a hold of us?
Please contact us at myinjuryli.com, or you can call us at 631-654-4900. Again, that's myinjuryli.com or 631-654-4900.
It would be our privilege, Amanda, right, to fight to get our listeners justice.
Absolutely.
Okay. And all of our consultations on personal injury cases are free. We oftentimes also go to clients' homes.
Yes.
And if you do retain us, it doesn't cost you anything unless we make a recovery. It's called a contingency fee. We'll also lay out expenses, which you're not going to have to give us back if we, even if we're not successful. We, of course, hope to be successful, but so there's really no risk to you. And listen to our program every Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. as we explore these issues. I know, Amanda, you want to do a shout-out before we get back to Dr. Dow, right?
I do have one shout-out to our little other tech guru, Anthony.
Anthony Romano behind the glass.
Correct.
You guys are so sweet. Thank you.
You are. Anthony, we couldn't do this without you.
That is, Ken and I would be lost.
I'm telling you, Anthony really does do an incredible job, folks. When we get guests on, or it's funny when you look at that switchboard there, you look at that board there to see what he has to do.
Chinese.
And, I'm telling you, we'd be in trouble.
Chinese.
Man, we'd be in deep trouble.
Imagine if you had to do that.
Oh, we'd be in trouble. Our listeners wouldn't even get to hear us.
You would never hear us.
So we are back with the great Dr. Thomas Dow Sr., and he's talking about chiropractic. We were just talking about what happens with regard to these independent, quote-unquote, medical exams, and he's coined the phrase dependent medical exams, dependent upon an insurance company paying them. So if the insurance company is paying them, well, do you think they're going to be independent? Now, there are doctors out there, to their credit, that I can tell you that have done appropriate exams and sometimes find that our clients actually have the injuries that they're claiming. Usually those ones get knocked off the list. And I don't see them getting, more returns,
right,
and more business. So, Dr. Dow, let's talk about a person now is treating with you, right? Let's say they're in an accident and they're treating with you, and they're obviously going through a process of treatment. And a person, Dr. Dow, who has an injury to their spine, does that mean that it just banged around a little bit and automatically that, you'll be good in 3 weeks? Or sometimes does it take a period of time to go through the treatment and have the effect that you're ultimately going to need, and sometimes that takes a longer period of time?
Yes, well, mostly all the time, and we call that soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injury is anything other than hard tissue injury, like breaks or fractures. There's sprains, there's strains, there's disc injuries, there's herniations, there's tears. And my experience has been that these types of injuries last much, much longer than fractures, and sometimes a lifetime, and need continued treatment just for supportive to keep the person functioning for their activities of daily living.
So the reality is that, you could have a fracture, right, Doc? And it can heal. Let's say you have a fracture, and let's just say it's a linear fracture where the bone is lined up, okay? And it could heal, and maybe it takes a couple of months to heal, and after that couple of months, person's doing pretty well. Whereas the soft tissue itself, it's much harder to heal. Am I correct?
100%. I mean, you take somebody who's ever twisted an ankle before, basketball, slipped on a curb. Historically, they will sprain that ankle again and again and again, and still know from 30, 40 years ago which ankle it was that sprained, because when the weather gets bad, that joint swells up. Because those holding elements, those ligaments, those tendons, they have very poor blood supply, and they never heal. Kind of like a stretched out rubber band, never gets tight again. So they're always prone to re-injure that area, as years go on.
And so the therapy, of course, and the involvement of having a doctor potentially have to obviously treat you for a period of time, it's not unlikely. It should be something that should really be readily accepted, right? But really, we get quite the opposite, right? Because what you hear, Doc, is you'll hear it from an adjuster, an insurance adjuster. Well, it was just a sprain, okay?
Yeah, we get the opposite. That's correct, because they try to minimize these injuries, whereas that person needs, first they have to get things realigned again, whether it's realignment of the spine or realignment of the joint, and then they need to cut the inflammation down with the therapies we have, and then they need to strengthen the muscles in the areas and around there to give it more support, so it has a better chance of staying in place.
And when you're doing therapies, the kind of therapies that you would give to a person who, let's say they were involved in a car accident or a trip and fall accident, and let's say they injured their back or their neck, what kind of therapies do you give a person to try to get them better?
Well, first we do a thorough exam, we do x-rays, we do MRIs, we try to pinpoint exactly where the problem is. And then with our treatment plan, we try to adjust the patient, bring their body back into their bones back into normal alignment and structure, at the same time giving them things like heat and electrical muscle stimulation, massage, ultrasound to try to decrease the inflammation and increase the blood flow into the area. And then after things get pretty well aligned and they're starting to get normal structure again, we'll then have them exercise and strengthen these areas to try to hold the normal structure back in place.
Well, it's really important, folks, if you are injured, go see Dr. Dow. He's a great doctor. He treats people, but he treats the whole person. And I think that's really important. If somebody wants to schedule an appointment, Dr. Dow, to see you, and I know you have up to now 4 offices, and I believe, if I'm correct, Dr. Thomas Dow Jr., of course, is in some of the offices too, correct?
Yes, he is. And one thing I want to say, Ken, before we cut off here, is that even if you are denied by an insurance company saying you're not entitled to any more treatment, all of our offices will continue to treat you. If it's medically necessary, you're still hurt. And we will go and fight the insurance companies through what's called arbitration to be paid with no out-of-pocket expense to you.
Very good point. Not every doctor will do that. Dr. Dow's offices will do that. They'll fight for you, and you will have no risk in that either, okay? And that's important, folks. That's important, because to get cut off some arbitrary date just because an insurance company decided they're tired of paying, and it's funny, they only get tired of paying when they're paying out the benefit. Collecting the premiums, they never seem to get tired of taking, Tom.
That's true. That's true.
So what number would they call you on if they want to schedule an appointment to get in to see you?
631-249-0011 is our main number for all 4 of our offices.
So give that number one more time, please.
631-249-0011.
So, folks, really, if you need a good doctor, go to Tom Dow. Really, you won't be sorry. And if you or someone you care about has been injured as a direct result of someone else's negligence, Amanda, how could they get a hold of us? Because we'd love to try to help them.
So you can give us a call at 631-654-4900, or you can reach us on the web at myinjuryli.com. Again, that's 631-654-4900 or myinjuryli.com.
So we would love to try to help you with that. And so I think we've covered some important topics today, Amanda.
Yes.
We covered the topics of insurance companies taking advantage of people when they first have these accidents, and the necessity, pick up the phone and call us.
Yes.
Pick up the phone. even if it turns out, folks, that you don't have a serious injury, we'll take the time. We'll speak to you. We like to get to know you. And we'd like to make sure that you're protected right from the beginning. But if you are injured, of course, we'll try to help you get recovery. And also, you heard Dr. Thomas Dow talk about these IMEs, these insurance IMEs, and how they're trying to take advantage of you. So, again, get to a good doctor like him, because if they play that game, and if you are still in need of their treatment, and they cut you off, he'll fight it. He'll arbitrate it, okay? And that's really, really important. So 2 important things we covered here today, because we're here to fight for you. Yes, we are the little guy, right? We're all the little guys, okay, when it comes to these insurance companies. But you know the story of David and Goliath, right?
Yeah.
David wins. David wins big,
Yep.
okay? So, folks, let us help you fight your Goliaths, okay? We'll see you next week, and really have a safe and a great week. So long now.